So our goal is to go to skate parks, plop up, set down the DJ set, single day festival essentially. We have bikes, skateboards, kendamas, and DJ lessons. So you come to the table, sign up for free, sign up for your time slot, and you go out, break off with an instructor and get your first experience riding bikes, skateboarding, playing kendama, learning how to DJ. So we had like 6-year-olds going up on the turntables and like scratching in, and yeah, it was magical. You know, we had all these like, there's like a basketball tournament going on near the skate park, so all these like basketball kids are coming out, and it's cool, man. I mean, people were really stoked. Taught a bunch of people how to do things that they'd never done.
All right, welcome to another episode of A Path Unfolding. My guest here today is Reed Stark. He's a BMX professional rider, kendama enthusiast, and also sponsored by Sweets Kendamas. And I think one of your claims to fame is that you basically introduced the electronic music world to kendamas. You're also now a DJ and starting to produce. I think you're just a world-class human, and I'm so excited to have you here, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, buddy. I wanted to jump in and like introduce you how I met you, which is a beautiful story. So your now fiancé, Alexander Koshi, a beautiful human being. She used to work for Gravitas and Pivotal Agency, and she worked with us for a really long time during the closing years, and she was the heart and soul of Pivotal. Like, she made it run. And then she moved on and moved away and met you. And then we were going into Lightning in a Bottle 2022. And she was like, can I bring my boyfriend? And I was like, you know, we're a pretty tight crew, but because you're Koshi, you get a pass. And I'm really glad she brought you. You were like one of the highlights of my trip. Aww. You make me laugh, you make me smile. Your enthusiasm is infectious. You introduced me to kendama and gave your whole spiel of why it's such a fun, like, beautiful meditative activity. So yeah, man, just welcome and introduce yourself. Let us know what you got going on, man. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for all the kind words. No, you should hear how Alexander Koshi talks about you. Oh. You're saying all those things. Yeah, it's a super great time meeting you. You know, she talked about you pretty much since the day I met her as you being like a big mentor in her life and kind of showing her the way. And I mean, I see how she works nowadays. We started a marketing agency recently, Find Your Friends.
Love it.
And seeing how she conducts her business and all the shortcuts to get things done in the most efficient way, effective way ever. Like, it's like, oh yeah, Cole and Jesse taught me all this stuff. I'm like, man, so I've actually been learning probably through you, through her.
Man, the ripples, the waves, yes.
Yeah, so I've been riding BMX, 31 now. I've been riding BMX since I was 9 years old. I rollerbladed before that. I played all the things. My parents were just kind of like, whatever you want to try, get into. You know, I played soccer, hockey for 12 years, baseball, football, gymnastics.
Yes.
I don't even know, just kind of everything. I mean, currently I'm into like disc golf, rock climbing, snowboarding, BMX. Yeah. I just got into one-wheeling. It's kind of anything that really gets your body out there, experiencing nature and ripping, I'm into. And yeah, I just did the BMX thing. My brother filmed videos back in the day, like pre-YouTube, brother Kyle, and he would, you know, take DV tapes, put them on VHS, and upload them on the internet. There's like a BMX forum, BMX board, and people go there. It take like days to download a 3-minute video, and that was kind of like the industry back then. So
wow.
He ended up filming videos of me since I was like 10 years old, like BMX videos.
Yeah.
And he had some internet friends who got word of one of my videos, and they're like, dude, this kid rips. And I got sponsored when I was like 16, I think.
Wow.
By Sunday Bikes. And then that led to a couple years later getting hooked up by BSE, which is out of Scotland. That's my main BMX sponsor. Started by a laser engineer, this dope dude, Grant Smith, legendary guy. So did that whole thing, went to school at University of Minnesota, graduated with a degree in advertising, like strategic communication, journalism, that whole area, and then I minored in management. And as soon as I got done with that, I went on a Red Bull BMX trip to Oregon and skipped my flight home and was homeless for 5 years.
Wow.
So I just like would go on a BMX trip for 2 weeks to some country, and I'd meet someone there and be like, hey, can I stay with you for 4 or 5 days? They'd be like, cool. Stay with them, crash on their couch, do their dishes, ride with them, whatever. I had like no money, but I just loved being out there. Just my backpack and my bike. And then I'd be like, hey, you know anyone in this other country over here? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I have a cool friend over there. He'd call them, hey, can this stranger come and stay with you? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, if he's cool. And then I just pretty much did that. I like never stayed at hostels or Airbnbs or hotels, just only strangers' couches all around the world. I'd usually do like 6 months in Europe, off and on, and then like 6 months in America to like kind of serve my time.
So you've literally traveled the world.
Yeah, I just sent it. Went to some really scary places, had some crazy situations happen. Had to just go through it. I don't know. It was wild.
I love it. I love it. I will say you're the first like non-music. I know you do music, but obviously that kind of your core like as an athlete and adventure guest that we've had. So I'm really excited to like dive into that. You know, the concept of the podcast is a path unfolding, and I think this is like a beautiful path. You've clearly had like many adventures in your life. Let's talk about Kendamas as the next piece too. So tell me how you discovered that and that whole journey.
So initially when I saw it, I was like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Why would you waste your time with that? And one of my best friends, Tomas Georgia, he's a Greek dude. It's like known him since I was like 17 in high school. Then we went to college together. And he's like, dude, you just don't get it. And we're on this camping trip up in northern Minnesota, Boundary Waters canoe area, where you're like, dude, we did like 10 days, 50 miles, 30 lakes. Like you have to portage with the canoe and all your stuff from lake to lake, all on maps.
Wow.
It's like very primitive caveman activities essentially.
Yeah.
So we were out there and he showed me Kendama. And so I was like, oh, kind of cool. And then I went to Greece with him and my other buddy Bjorn, who filmed videos for Sweets. And I was like, oh, I got to get a Kendama. You guys both play all the time. And, you know, we would be watching TV and they'd stand up and play Kendama during commercials. And I would just watch them. And then eventually I was like, I should probably be doing this rather than just spacing out watching the commercials. And then I just fell in love with it. Over the next like month or so of playing with it, I realized how much better. It's a hand-eye coordination trainer.
Yeah.
It's like funded by the Japanese government. And I realized how insane it was. Like I'd be cooking and drop a spatula and without looking, grab it. And it was just like my hand-eye came crazy. I realized as well, like I'd wake up some mornings and the ball, when you pop it up, would be going really fast. Like my brain wasn't processing time fast enough.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh, I can't be doing BMX tricks before I know my brain's firing at the right speed. So that became a part of my routine. Like I'm not gonna jump off a roof on my bike if I don't know my brain's firing and I can like dodge out of things. Then if you do a BMX trick, like a scary one, then all of a sudden it moves in slow motion.
Yeah.
So I realized, wow, this is like a great way to normalize failure, kind of like fail all the time and keep trying, and then you will succeed. And that kind of translates to everything else in life. And it was a really powerful tool of just kind of mastering my mind. And I'm still doing, I've been, maybe 8 years in the game, 9 years at this point. Yeah. It's hard to even count. And I suck compared to everyone else who gets into it. Like, people just catch on quick.
You definitely don't suck. But there's so much to dig into. I will say the first thing that's really interesting is that slowing down of time. And I think people can relate to that. And I've had those moments where, you know, in heightened states of awareness or something crazy is happening and you feel like time slows down. Like, how can you explain that? What is your thoughts on that?
Wow. It's very bizarre. I mean, it just goes to show that like meditation, it's hard for me to meditate. I see this as like progressive meditation, you know, like it's doing a thing, but when you get into this flow state, you kind of like everything else goes away and all the problems you have just vanish. Same thing I get from riding BMX, but I can't ride BMX all the time. So I can carry this anywhere. I can be at the airport and just go into my own world. And when you slow down time, I mean, you're essentially making your life longer in your head. And who doesn't want that, you know?
I want it, hell yeah.
So
it's kind of like, by filtering out everything else that's not important and honing your focus, you're able to more fully comprehend each frame of reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Frames per second, you know, it's like a camera. I don't know. It's bizarre. I mean, the same thing happens in BMX. Sometimes when you do like a really scary bike trick, you know, we call it a banger. Like you literally go up to it and you black out and you land and you're riding away and you don't even remember what happened.
Yeah.
And it used to happen to me a lot, but that's like this like hyper focus, like intuitive, like trust your intuition, don't think, fast. I need to jump off and jump to this rock so I don't break my face.
I wonder if it's like your brain is actually turning off certain functions, like record function. It's like, we don't need a memory of this, we just need to get it done.
There you go. Survive.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. And so you're also like finding that as, and I really am interested in this moving meditation because I am an extrovert and I'm very engulfed and, like stimulated by my external world. And my wife is very much an introvert and she can get overstimulated. And so she's more internal focused. And when she does yoga, that brings her back to center. And I love sitting meditation because it brings me more to my center. So there's sort of the external movement-based meditation and the internal, like inside meditation. And different people get different things out of those. So
Absolutely.
that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm big into yoga as well.
Yeah.
Like that's like just for stretching out your body. I mean, I've had crazy problems with my body, and I've been able to pretty much fix them all by
Love
just
it.
doing yoga and like
Wow.
no weight activity, just
Yeah.
to strengthen certain things, strengthen your core, good posture. Like I've gone through it with that, so yoga's great. But yeah, meditating. I mean, Koshi meditates all the time, and she's like, "Reed, just do it. Reed, just do it." And it's like, I don't know. I've done it, but I know I'll get there someday.
Yeah.
Right now, though, I'm
you gotta
just
find what works
contemplating.
for you, right? Tell me about how you became the Kendama prophet of the EDM world, the dubstep EDM world. Because I'm talking Boogie T, right? Subtronics, Of the Trees. I mean, these are people that you will see just religiously practicing, putting it on their stories. And as far as I know, it all goes back to you, which I think is amazing.
So it all happened. I was the first person on Sweets.
Uh-huh.
They had to fight for it at the company. My buddy Matt Maroka, he's like the graphic designer. Him and the CEO Gabe Clem, who I think you've met.
Yeah.
Great guys. Company's out of Minnesota. They essentially brought the game from Japan. Not the first people, but big part of bringing it to other countries out of like gym class in Japan. And I was the first person that wasn't a pro kendama player who was really good at kendama, who like got a signature kendama. This isn't my signature. I always have giraffe print models, but
Yeah.
and they at the company they're like, what? How are we gonna give? You know, imagine like a pro skateboard team and you put a BMX who sucks at skateboarding and give him a signature deck. Like all the skaters are gonna be like, what is going on?
Yeah, why?
Why? It's
Yeah.
so lame. But Sweets kind of understood, and I was pushing for it. I was like, it's gonna blow it up in this world. Like, and that was a big problem with kendama is they're only showing people who are really good at it, and that almost pushes people away because it seems too difficult to accomplish. So all of a sudden, you got me out there promoting it and doing easier tricks. You're like, oh, I could probably do that. So I kind of like merged kendama with BMX,
Yeah.
and then that kind of blew up. And then I was like, dude, let's do it with a different industry. So I brought my boy Boo Johnson, and he's a pro skater. I got him a signature model, and he merged the skate world. I'm at Snowda backstage in the artist room. Don't really know green room etiquette or anything. Apparently, I'm in Boogie T's green room. Didn't know who he was. I'm playing kendama. These dudes walk in, start teaching them kendama. They say they've seen it before. And I'm like, all right, well, they seem hyped on it. I brought like 6 damas with me. Went out, grabbed the bag, brought it in, hooked them all up with kendamas. And then a week later, I see Boogie T on his tour bus inventing the toe spike, where he put the kendama in between his toes like this, and then swung it up and actually spiked the ball. I'm still yet to do one. This is like in 2017 or 2018. So I see this, and I tell Sweets, I'm like, all right, guys, like, this guy's a legend. He's in a completely different industry. Let's try and merge worlds. And that kind of got me to the point where I was like, oh, kendama is like, it's like the common denominator between all. You know, anyone who has like a brain of like, you're into these types of activities, like almost individual hobbies that you can progress in but never really win type of thing. You know,
Yeah.
BMX, skateboarding, there's tons of them.
Yeah.
And so then that was the first 3 people: BMX, skate, and then dubstep, essentially. And after that, I was like, well, we're kind of like a team. And I was like, created the name Sweets Mob, and we started branching out into other industries. So I'd meet certain people or get connected to people, and we eventually sponsored like legendary rollerblader Frankie Morales, pro scooter dude Juzzy Carter, snowboarder Juicy Joker, pro disc golfer Eagle McMahon. Kind of like legends and all, and there's more. And like then Subtronics came in, Of the Trees.
Yeah.
Just all these kind of connections. We'd go on trips and put them all in the van and go on like camping trips and play kendama and just do cool tricks.
Yeah, I watched one of those videos, and I was just obsessed with what a cool idea this is, right? You're taking all these people who are extremely talented in their own craft, and then letting them mix and commingle and take this epic road trip together, taking all this footage of them doing their respective stuff, and then the common denominator is the kendama, and it looks like you guys are just having the time of your lives.
Oh, it was epic. I mean, Boogie on that trip, he was just like, dude, this is like the crazy. We were hiking, and he never really like hiked like this. He's like, is this hiking? He's like asking the homies, and they're like, it was just the craziest blend of worlds. I mean, Frankie Morales had never been camping before. Actually, this is a different trip we went on recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were just people who just had different experiences with everything. And then like David Gravett, pro skateboarder, he's like camper, a kayaker legend, so he's helping us guide the trip.
Oh,
and
man.
it was magical. And the video came out, and everyone's like, all right, let's see the vision.
Yeah.
So I worked on that for, I don't know, 3-4 years, kind of building up the team and everything. Then eventually at Sweets got into like global sales. So I would travel to BMX contests around the world or events, and I would meet like the coolest, most tapped in guy, I'd teach him Dama, be like, hey, you should sell kendamas. And I'd kind of like write business plans and like how to market. like Kendama, how to start a business, like all these sheets, and just work with them. And eventually I got to like 15 countries, like introduced Kendama. One of them, this dude in Latvia, this dude Angus, like he sold like $500,000 in only sweets Kendamas in 6 months.
Wow.
Like in like a year, he was on the cover of Latvian TMZ as the most successful entrepreneur.
Yes.
Currently, he like ended up kind of like building up the Kendama thing. Everyone in Latvia has a Kendama statistically from him at this point. He like got famous people on it. And then he kind of like oversaturated the market, essentially like ordered a ton, COVID hit, kind of problems happen, you know, with businesses. Now he's an influencer for NATO.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I don't know, like it was just wild.
Legendary, man.
It's just wild seeing like all these people. Some of them are still ripping, some kind of like tried it, fizzled out.
Sure.
But yeah, then I went from there to doing digital marketing, like Google and Meta ads for sweets. Did that for a couple years. And I kind of recently like took a step back a bit to kind of focus on some other things I have going on in life. I'm still working with sweets and helping them and being an influencer, but I kind of like being behind the computer and not being out in the world. I didn't feel like was my biggest impact.
Yeah.
Actually, in the ayahuasca ceremony, that was like spoken clearly to me like a couple years ago. Like, yo, you need to be out there.
Yeah.
You need to be out there, interacting, meeting people at events, showing them Kendama, teaching them. Like, if you're sitting behind a computer studying data, you're not doing your best.
Yeah,
to
you have
it.
such an infectious spirit. Like when you introduced me, like I was just like so hype on it. And you know, you teach someone their first trick, and when I landed the first spike, it was just like yes. And man, that's addictive.
Oh
you
yeah.
know? Talk about the Japanese culture and where it came from, because I thought that was fascinating too.
So actually it was called Bolero in South America, and it was just, I have one, it's crazy. This dude in Colombia at a BMX event just came up with this massive ball, just came up and gave it to me. I was like, what? It's a massive ball, and then it has like a skinny stick on it, and a super small spike, and all you do is just swing it in and spike it.
Ball and stick.
Yeah, and then the French took it and made that concept and made bilboquet, or bilboquet, and that is pretty much a kendama that looks like almost like a pop can, and it is a flat top and bottom, and then it has a spike, no cups, and then this part is flat. So you can like land it flat and then spike it and do certain tricks. And then the Japanese took it and made it like a fully dynamic balanced tool. So they added the cups, you can obviously do those tricks, and then you can also do like bird, all these things, under bird, and then you can hold the ball and have it be perfectly balanced to do all these tricks. So it like they just leveled it up. In Japan, it's in gym class. It's not fun. You know, they like, you have to go through the curriculum and land tricks and like hold it in between your shoulders and sit for 3 seconds, and they go like boom, 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 height, like you did it. I actually got tested by the Japanese Kendama Association at the office in Japan. There's like 3 Japanese dudes in business suits sitting there at a table, and you have to do a certain trick a certain number of times out of 10. And then you can test them to certain levels of Kendama. To start it, you have to do Moshikame, which is this. It's like there's a song, Moshikame, Moshikame, and it's like Japanese, everyone knows it. And you have to do that a certain amount of times to test in certain levels. So if you want to test in a level 3, you have to do that 500 times in a row. Wow. And not mess up. And I think I did like 430. So I could only test in level 2. And then I was so nervous, and I messed up a couple things. And I ended up just getting level 1. But I have like a scroll, like a Japanese scroll that says I'm like an official first dan of Kendama.
I think you said that like when you're applying for a job, you could put your Kendama rating or ranking on there.
Absolutely. And so Kendama, yeah, you can, if I'm a level 5, you're a level 4, and we're going for the same promotion at a company, I can say, put that down, and it'll give me extra juice to get the promotion.
I think LinkedIn is missing out, right? Come on, LinkedIn, get it together. Yeah. Oh, man. Wow, that is epic. So, again, like, pro BMXer, Kendama, influencer, you know, spreading the word. And now you've moved into owning your own agency with my dear friend Koshi, who now you've just recently been engaged during Mardi Gras. I saw just some pictures today. What a beautiful moment. Special. And so now you're also transitioning into playing, DJing a lot more and producing your own music, right?
Yep.
Wow.
It's been, I don't know, I just can't sit still. Yeah. I love doing things and trying things. That was when I was traveling back in the day. I just loved like being able to just like meet people and understand different places. And as you move through life, if anyone's talking about anything, you got a little bit of experience with it, at least to just kind of tap in and get where they're coming from and be empathetic, put yourself in their shoes and what they might be going through or whatever.
So how do you approach fear? How do you approach starting something new? What's your like mentality around that?
It's really hard. And I see that a lot when I teach people Kendama, which is why I started this nonprofit recently, Try Again Foundation, with Koshi, co-founded it with her. But yeah, it's a huge mental battle, especially like failing in front of people, not being good at something, even to the point where you ask the most confident person who's so successful at something, like, hey, try this spike, and they have like 3 or 4 friends around or strangers, and they're like, nah, I'm not touching it. And I'm like, why? It's fun. Like, nah, not even gonna put my hand on it. I'm like, cool, it says a lot about you, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's other people who see it and they're like, give me that thing.
Yeah.
And then they'll sit there for 20, 30 minutes and I'll stay with them and teach them and make sure they get their first trick, because it's such like an empowering thing to have that happen. And I mean, I think the hardest part of what you're talking about with failure and everything is not having good teachers and guiders around you, which is another thing I want to instill through the nonprofit, is like creating a teaching society and teaching world. A lot of people hold in their knowledge, you know, their little life hacks. And all of a sudden you like hang out, like I was hanging out with this producer, Abstract Sonnets. He came and stayed at my house a couple weeks ago. And I've been producing for like 3-4 years, and we had like a couple 1-hour sessions, just like back and forth vibing, and like my brain went, and now like the stuff I'm putting out music wise is just, it's game changer. I mean, it sounds nothing like what I did. He was the catalyst very easily to be like, oh no, that's not right, try it like this. And when you have people around you to teach you those things, you're gonna level up and enjoy it better. And that's what Kendama is. Like if I'm not there to be like, you got this. Oh, you're not bending your knees. Oh, pinch it right here. You're gonna hate the game. It's like trying to go play golf for the first time. That's what Gabe always says, CEO. It's like imagine going out, like giving someone a bag of golf clubs and being like, go, play. You're gonna hate it. Yeah. You need someone to be like, all right, here's how you hold it. Here's how you swing. Focus here, you know? Yeah. So if the world can, at the end of my life, if the world can be more of that, have more of that in it, I'll feel accomplished, I think.
Yeah. It's sort of like right now, my wife and I have been doing art classes on Thursday, and like I was, you know, I did drawing when I was a kid, but I've never tried painting. And I think it's really important to try new things and suck at them and be like, I am just gonna be bad. And this idea, this relationship with failure and trying again. And what is failure? What does that mean? To me, there's so much opportunity to learn. You learn about yourself, and it's a muscle where you learn to try again, and just overcoming that and not getting frustrated, not getting mad, not wanting to go, oh, I need to go back to the things that I'm good at. And what's even more beautiful about that is once you start to cross that threshold where you do get some proficiency at that thing, then things that you learn in that new thing you try cross over into other stuff you're doing. And it's like this relationship with Kendama and the BMX, and all of a sudden you're finding those two things really. So like, yeah, how has BMX and Kendama like influenced you in your music or any of those like new things you're trying? Do you see that showing up for you?
I mean, beyond just, I mean, with BMX, I mean, I'll crash at something sometimes for days. Like you go try and film a trick and you literally like put your face in the dirt hundreds of times trying to get one clip. People have no idea. You get kicked out by security guards. You got to come back at night with lights. Like it's a crazy process. So like that kind of taught me a lot of lessons that Kendama had. And then this was like my ability to pretty much ride BMX all day, like all the time. Like I'm at the DMV, I'm at the airport. I can like do this and still be building and growing and, you know, normalizing failure in my head. And I guess with music, I mean, I've sampled Kendama sounds in beats already. That's one way, but it's just, I guess these things have really given me a don't give up attitude, you know, when things seem impossible. Like mastering Ableton. I mean, I went back to college, just not college, but I went to Slam Academy to like finish off my understanding of Ableton at least. Because I've been doing it for like 3 years. I'm just like, this doesn't sound good. Yeah. Why does my stuff not sound good? And then I'm not really a YouTube learner. You know, I need somebody to be there and ask questions to and show them stuff and get feedback. And Slam Academy offers this like online program where you can sign up, and it's like 6 months, once a week, 3 hours. Nice. Go to like a Discord meeting and you get to like learn from an Ableton certified professor or someone who's really good at this stuff. And they just kind of filled in all the gaps for me, and just going through that process and kind of making sure I'm constantly learning and not giving up even when you get so frustrated. I think that's what Kendama and BMX taught me. And that's been helping with music a lot, because I can't stand sitting in front of the computer. Yeah. But my dream of putting beats I have in my head out there is like greater than that. You know what I mean?
Well, we're coming into a world where you may not have to sit in front of the computer. Like I just did an interview with Mr. Bill, and we were talking about AI, and like the stuff that's about to happen in music generation with AI is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, Random Rap, I guess, was uploading some of his own music and lyrics to AI and saying, like, make me more songs like this. And he was like, I am shook. Like, this thing is making songs that I feel like I wrote.
Really?
Yeah, so the future is going to be really crazy with AI.
I think it's a couple. There's good things with that,
Yeah.
but also I don't think there will be AI will never be able to replace true human creativity.
I hope not.
I don't believe like
Yeah.
the really original ideas. I guess I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Maybe they will get there someday,
Yeah,
but that'll
well,
be
I
a
mean,
sad
that makes
day for
sense because
me.
it was trained on existing ideas. I think the cool stuff is where you can say, like, take this thing and then merge them together. And that would be really hard for us to do, but it can be like, bloop, bloop, you know?
I've heard some tracks that I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Like for sure, like prompted AI, like write raps about this subject with this style voice or whatever. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bizarre.
my friend was doing like a script writing thing, and it had to do with basically like, he was like, talk about like this Christmas party that we're about to have, but like write it in the theme of like Game of Thrones, and it was hilarious. I mean, it's so fun. Yeah, let's see what else. You want to tell me about the engagement with Koshi? Tell me about Mardi Gras and all that. I'd love to hear that story.
Oh boy. Okay. You want to hear the ring story?
Absolutely, I want to hear the whole story, as much as you can give us.
So I rode this contest in Estonia, and I was having a hard time. And my buddy Joris from France, he's the one who taught me about like yoga and meditation, like crystal meditation, all this stuff. Before I rode that day, I was like, Joris, I'm not in the right headspace. And he gave me this tiny little piece of opal. It's like this opal's crazy, like just super vibrant rainbow colors. I'm not like too big of a crystal hippie, but I do like them. And I rode that contest, and I got second place. It was like the craziest contest results I've ever had. That was in 2018.
Nice.
And then gave the crystal back to him. Then last year at Swamp Fest in Florida, this other BMX contest, he comes up to me and he's like, dude, that opal that I gave you at that contest, 5 years ago, something like that. It's like it broke in half, and I wanted you to have half of it, and I'll keep half. And he's like, I figured you could use it for something. I was like, man, that looks like a great ring, like a stone on a ring. And then that led to me like stealing a ring from Koshi to get sizing and bring all this package to Burning Man, where I told this ring maker I knew, like, yo, I'm gonna be at this camp. Hopefully you can find me at the right time with 80,000 people and no cell service. And dude, he found me.
Yes.
He found me, and
Yes.
I gave him the package, and he made this crazy dope ring. His name's Esteban. Yeah, he made a super sick ring. It's a little bit bulky for, I think, Koshi's taste. Now I think she's liking it, but I just kind of sent it, and I had it for maybe, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months. I brought it with me to like Thanksgiving with my folks in North Carolina. I was like, I'm gonna give it to her. I had this whole thing planned out, and I was like, time's not right. And then on Mardi Gras Day, where we have 30 BMXers from all around the world staying at our house.
Wow.
Like going on this road trip to this past year's Swamp Fest. And we go out to this little party, and Koshi's been DJing a lot more recently, but she hasn't really done it in front of a lot of people. And we show up to this party. Before I can even like get to the front of the party, she's behind the decks, USB in, and just is like ripping in front of like a bunch of people. And I was like, oh, she is the best. Like,
Yes.
I'm so proud of her. Like, it's just the coolest moment. And I looked at her, and like my buddy was there, Will with the camera, and he's got his camera, and I'm like, BMX photographer, like bunch of homies, sunny, vibrant day. Koshi's buzzing. Like, I knew we were about to go to this like street party spot that we'd loved for the last like 2-3 years at Mardi Gras. And I like, looked at them, I was like, camera, I think I'm gonna go get a ring. And they're like, what? And I told my buddy Trevor, I was like, I got a ring at home. He's like, dude, are you serious? And I made up an excuse, cruised home, grabbed the ring, felt like I was gonna vomit from all the nerves. Told my other homies, like, I'm gonna do this thing. They all came with me. Went back, locked up my e-bike, forgot to lock up Koshi's bike on the busiest Mardi Gras street. Her bike all day was just sitting out unlocked because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
And yeah, like 3 hours later, just sent it, just dropped onto 1D. People were crying, champagne bottles spraying. It was just like, it was epic. We had like probably 400 people. They announced us. They're like, give a big shout to Koshi and Reed. Just got engaged. Everyone was losing their shit. So it was magical. One to remember.
Yes, man. I love this, man. Like, I say this a lot, is like, write the story of your life, and like, you do this. It's like, you can see what's gonna be like an epic moment for you, and you're like, I want that, and you make it happen. Like, I love that so much, brother. That is amazing. Like, you will never forget that. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely
like,
not. I don't think anyone there will. I mean, I had like my buddies, like BMX dudes from Netherlands, like crying.
Oh.
They're like sitting there crying. I was like, dude, like this, it was just crazy. They're like, it was just magical.
Oh,
But I love that. You know, I've had friends in my life who've taught me like, make moments epic.
Yeah.
Come to a party correct.
Yeah.
Come with a bunch of stuff to give to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, like do it right. Make epic moments that people remember, because that's what it's all about. You know, just good stories, good people, and like how you treat others. And and yeah, I wanted to be magical, so I didn't know when it was gonna be. I thought I was gonna bring her to like a hot spring spot in California, but it just happened that day. I don't know.
Love it. Yeah, I say that sometimes when we're gonna go do something fun. I'm like, let's go make some memories.
Yeah.
You know, let's go do this. Oh wow. How about the Paul Stamets story at Burning Man / Texas Eclipse?
Dude, well, that one's so bizarre. So I'm at Burning Man, not this past year, the year before, in like a complete whiteout at night in the middle of the desert, like deep in Playa. And I'm just like pedaling around, like find some bikers with lights and follow them for a bit. And eventually we stumble upon like a pickle whiskey bar that's like just in the middle of the desert. And I sit down, and all of a sudden I look over, and I knew Paul Stamets was there, and I've been dreaming of meeting him for a long time. Mushrooms have had like a big impact on like, I picked my college major on mushrooms. I don't know, a bunch of crazy things I did like from mushroom influence. And all of a sudden I see this guy, and I'm like, that's gotta be him. And I sit down, we talk for a while. He's got a bunch of interesting stories. Gives me a name, and I'm like, I don't think he'd tell me his name's Paul Stamets out here. You know, everyone has like a playa name, but I'm like convinced it's him. I get his email, tell him about Dama, ship him a Dama, never heard anything back. And I realized, like, go look at photos after Brede, I'm like, that's not him. Like, it's like close, but that wasn't the guy. So then I'm at Texas Eclipse, and we go see him talk. Like, he had a speech, and everyone's sitting there like, this is so cool, hearing where he's at and what he's working on. He talked about like Dune, you know, Dune 2, where they're drinking the blue drink.
Yeah.
And he knows the person who like directed it or produced it or whatever. And that blue drink is water, supposed to represent water mixed with mushrooms. Like if you put mushrooms in water, it creates like a blue liquid.
Sure.
And he confirmed it that it was from like Paul Stamets. So it's
Nice.
like he's had crazy influence on the world. And
wow.
And yeah, but we're like walking out backstage, Koshi, I think my buddy Bodie and I, and we're like walking, and then we're gonna turn around, and I'm like, no, let's just go this way. After like, you know, turning back, we went back past security, and they're like, you guys all have wristbands. I'm like, flat out, my buddy doesn't, but we're back here, and we gotta go that way. And she's like, I believe you, just don't mess anything up.
Yeah, be
it's
cool.
Like, pass that path, and then keep going. And then as we're leaving into the crowd, I look down, and just sitting there right on crutches, Paul Stamets. He's just sitting there watching the stage, like the jam band stage. I'm like, no. Yeah. And like my friends walk out, and I see him, and I'm like, just like sit down. I'm like, hey, you're Paul Stamets. And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, I got something to show you. Mm-hmm. And I sat there, and like, dude, I'm like shaking. My hands are shaking, and I'm like, all right, so this, like, here's a kendama. It's like a Japanese skill toy. Like, I'm so nervous, and I gave the pitch of my life. Like, it's like all my life of telling people about Dama led up to this moment.
Yes.
And he, like, obviously can't stand up to do it because he, like, hurt his knee or his ankle or something.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, I had my signature new upcoming prototype with sweets coming out. I only had one of them. Thought about giving it to so many people. I'm like, no, I got to keep this forever. Just that was all I had on me, and I'm like, teach them all about it. I'm like, all right, so let's connect. Here it is. He's just like, cool.
Nice.
Give it to him. So I got his email.
Oh,
so we'll
legend.
see. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll make a mushroom dama or something with him. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and Lee Reynolds.
Yep. Oh yeah, that happened. I think right after Paul Stamets.
Wow.
So I wanted to meet him for years because he's another BMX, like Hall of Fame BMX rider.
Right.
OG legend, and he's also makes music and DJs, and that's really rare in action sports world. Only a couple that do kind of both.
That's wild.
And yeah, I actually saw him at Burning Man on a stage years ago, and was like, that's Lee Reynolds. Like, people have been telling me forever that I need to meet him because we both are into the same thing, you know. And he's like, obviously got a lot more going on than I do, except with like in the music world. Like, you guys should connect and see how you guys can work together. I saw him at Burning Man on stage and tried to like get up there, and all of a sudden he vanished. And then I didn't really have an opportunity. And then at Texas Eclipse, I look up, and in the back of the stage, I'm like, that's him. Like, that's Lee Reynolds. And I get backstage, hop up, and I just go right up to him. I'm like, dude, like, I want to meet for a long time. Miss you at Burning Man. I'm a BMX rider, like DJ, producer, guy. And he's like, what? And there's like none of us, you know, like Ben Snowden and me, and I'm sure there's more, at least that we know about. But yeah, just rode down with him and his lady and talk for like 30, 45 minutes, and now we're connected, follow each other, and we're gonna like hopefully be making music for like a BMX part of mine at some point.
Nice.
And just I don't know, it's interesting. Like these festivals and Burning Man, not a festival, more of a city, but
Yeah.
it's like there's such a energetic, weird pool going on that you have these insanely synchronistic meetups with strangers.
Yeah.
And it's like it's all you're meant to be there, and you're meant to have this wild experience with this person who you may have known or may have wanted to meet.
Yeah.
And it keeps happening to me at these events specifically, and I'm not the only one who's had those stories.
Yeah,
so.
I think if you are putting yourself out there and putting forth the effort and going to these hot spots of creativity and energy and people, like good things are gonna happen. And like I've even been in a place where sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to bother that person, or I feel a little nervous, and I'll back off. And then I'm like, later I'll regret it. So I was just thinking again, like while you're talking, is like you have this really great relationship with fear, or just not holding back and just going all for it, and like the universe will reward you like 100% of the time, right?
I try a lot. There are times Coach will tell you I push it too far. She has to be like, Reed, they don't want to learn a spike. They don't want to. They just got off stage. They don't want to learn a spike right now. Just chill out. And I'm just like, oh fuck. Sorry, but no, I mean, yeah, put yourself out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I don't think I've ever gotten a job from applying.
Yeah.
Like just like applying to. I've applied to so many jobs in my life and tried to do so many things. It's always if I like meet someone somewhere else and they like suggest me.
Yeah.
Like for everything, BMX sponsors, like. Networking. I used to say like in college, they're like, "Oh, networking, go network." I was like, "That's so corny."
Yeah.
Like go, and there are super lame ways to do it. Like going out just to meet people and network, like that's some Los Angeles shit. Like
Yeah.
that shit is lame. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's people just trying to like manipulate you, and they only want to meet people that are gonna level them up. And then as soon as they get there, they'll just toss you away.
Yeah, the agenda is so transparent. You're like, I know what you want. Like,
Yeah.
just.
But there's
Yeah.
there's a fine line of going out and just being out there and
Yeah.
being who you are and being okay with that and talking with people. I mean,
Yeah.
I am a very social person, and I love it. I love hearing stories, and I always love learning from people. Like people's stories can teach you so much more than you can. I mean, if somebody else has made the mistake, and they can tell you that they made it and how they made it and how you should avoid that, you just got leveled up.
Yeah.
You just got fast track to success, you
Yes,
know?
sir.
And that's why having a mentor or like
Yeah.
something like that is so important in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't have that. Like I would in college, I would always go like meet with special professors I have and go to their office hours like every week just to chat and just get downloads one-on-one. And I talked to Coach, she's like, I never did that. It's like, I don't like remember any of my professors. I still have some of my professors' phone numbers.
Wow.
Because one of them invested like $5,000 in Reed Stark Ad. Like I had a freelance ad agency for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
And he like invested like not a bunch of money, but a chunk of money in me. He's like, all right, you have all these ideas. You're going to need some money to do it, dude. And I've done, I don't know, like these connections and
Yeah.
having those conversations, and it just is going to lead you to success.
Love
really.
that, man. Tell me about the nonprofit. You said you just hit on for a second, but I really want to know. I want to know more about that.
So that was another one in ayahuasca. I've been throwing BMX events and jams my brother did it for, I don't know, 10, 20 years now. Dilly Jam. It's actually happening this weekend in Minnesota. It's like just a street ride. So I would always be a part of these things, like, you know, making stickers for Team Dilly, which is like a little crew growing up in Minnesota. And I saw the dopeness of throwing events and bringing people together. So then when I was traveling, when I was homeless all that time, I would like, my bike would be getting old or whatever, and I'd be in a random country. I'd be like, all right, let's throw a jam, and I'm going to give away my bike to like the community. So like I threw jams in like Morocco. I went to like the first Moroccan BMX jam, and people like would pull up and they'd do a cool trick. I'd be like, all right, come over here. What part of my bike do you want? And I'd write it down in my phone, and at the end of the jam, like take apart my bike and give them to everyone. Even like took off my shirt and went home like shirtless, walking. And I just did that all around the world. And then I got into Kendama, and I was like, well, dude, I got to blend. It's got to be a Kendama BMX jam, right? Yeah. So I'd invite out both communities. And then I was like, well, we need music. Every good jam has music. And then I got into like the DJ world, met DJs who were like, oh yeah, I know friends with speaker systems and rigs and whatever. And then they started bringing those to events. We did our first one that had all three of them in Colorado, in Denver. And I was like, oh, this works. There's like a bunch of people jamming Kendama, skateboarders, BMXers, and DJs, you know, all at once. People are going back to back. It was just a vibe.
Yeah.
And then came up with the name Try Again Foundation on that trip with my buddy AJ, Lifetap Media in Huck. I don't know if you know those guys.
No.
Like big media guys in the DJ world, music world. And then ayahuasca was like, yo, like, Reed, you need to run with it. Like, stop drinking. It's holding you back from, like, progressing and accomplishing your goals, whatever. And you need to do Try Again Foundation. You need to get a new to-do list manager. So I did all the things she said, and I just, like, grinded on it. And within, like, a month after that, Koshi and I, like, I wouldn't have been able to do it without Koshi. She had all the skills of, like, developing a business from y'all, I'm pretty sure. And, yeah, we just teamed up and created it, got all the marketing. Her, like, previous employer helped with the logo. We just got it going. And then it took about a year to get everything ready, and we had to get bikes donated from Sunday Bikes, skateboards from GGK, 28 Kendamas from Sweets. What else? Oh, helmets from Shadow Conspiracy. And so we had all the gear to do the thing. And we went on like a filming trip to Northern California, which was cool. So that video will come out soon. Should be called like Try Again Yeti Land or something like that. And then recently we actually did our first event. So our goal is to go to skate parks, plop up, set down the DJ set, single day festival essentially. We have bikes, skateboards, kendamas, and DJ lessons. So you come to the table, sign up for free, sign up for your time slot, and you go out, break off with an instructor and get your first experience riding bikes, skateboarding, playing kendama, learning how to DJ. So we had like 6-year-olds going up on the turntables and like scratching in. And yeah, it was magical. You know, we had all these there's like a basketball tournament going on near the skate park, so all these like basketball kids are coming out, and I think we only had like 40 people, but our marketing was kind of last minute. We did like paper flyers. We don't have money for like digital ads, but I do digital marketing. So like as soon as we actually start getting donations and people see what we're doing, hopefully I can like actually promote these things and get out.
Put Gravitas on the list for a sponsor. 100%.
Oh, let's go. I would love it, man. I'm stoked to show people what we actually. Now we have the video of like what we actually want to do, and it's cool, man. I mean, people are really stoked. Taught a bunch of people how to do things that they've never done, and I want this to grow. I want rock climbers to come up to me and say, hey, we want to bring a rock climbing wall to all your events, and you run that part. You bring the climbing gear, bring the wall, set it up. I'll be there. I'll put you on the map, and we'll have the sign-up table.
It's a beautiful vision.
And it could go anywhere. I mean, this could go to disc golf. It could go to anything, any individual hobby or sport. You know?
Yeah, I could see Rob Deirdrick being a fan of this.
Dude, I don't know. People don't know what I'm doing. There are a lot of people running nonprofits, but it's always just in one industry, and that to me it's cool, but that's not what I'm about. I want to blend everyone.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as like kendama players, skateboarders, BMXers, DJs, one-wheelers, as soon as all these people come together, all these small little niches, they actually have a lot of power to do amazing things, like throwing like action sports festivals and things, which sometimes you see. Maybe you'll see a mini ramp at a festival somewhere, but it's rare. But imagine there was like a proper BMX contest at a music festival, which I am actually planning right now in Louisiana. Hopefully, we'll see where it goes. But I was working with Grand Artique as well.
Yes.
Ian, I'm hoping to like potentially. We did a Try Again activation at Texas Eclipse. Like brought kendamas at DJs, but I would love to go actually build skate parks at their things at festivals and give people the opportunity to try these different things. But it's not just all about partying and drinking, man. You need hobbies, and like hobbies are the reason I'm happy. So like. I hope other people can try them and get into it.
Yeah, they say like when people are suffering from depression, like doing something with your hands, getting exercise, getting sunlight are like the hugest ways that people can self-medicate and heal from these things. And being inside on a computer is not the way. Getting out there, doing something just activates you in so many ways. So I love it, man. I love the name. I love it's like Try Again. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful lesson in and of itself. Like that brand is already going to carry you far. I love branding. I love, what are we trying to say with this? That just says it all right there. So
thanks, man.
Excellent, man. Yeah, count me in. I will sponsor you. I'll be your first sponsor. You heard it here first.
Good, man. Yeah, like Texas Eclipse. It came to me like putting failure on a pedestal.
Yeah.
That's the goal of Try Again. You know, and
Nice.
the problem is that in like high school or whatever, you're getting taught basketball, like all these team sports, which are great. I play them. They're super fun. It's good to have like a team aspect. But then you get done with high school or college, and it's really hard to wrangle up 10, 20 people to actually have a game. So all these people who get trained these things, they never get taught any of the things that I'm into, any of these individual hobbies. Like maybe some really cool schools have like a certain hobby in gym class, but unless you have teachers and the infrastructure, like, I mean, my goal to Try Again is to actually have bikes, like bring 100 bikes out to a jam and give them all away. how cool would that be if you go to some rural area and introduce people to great music that they've never heard, cool tools like skateboarding, kendama, whatever, and you can actually give them their favorite thing at the end of the day. It'll change their life forever, you know?
Absolutely.
So they'll have the education and the tool to go rip. And then they'll have a community of friends anywhere in the world, which is how I was able to travel with BMX. I didn't know any of these people. You show up to a park, no language needed. You meet a BMXer and they're like, cool, like, stay at my house. Come meet my family. Like, that's how it is with BMX. Is like, if you dedicate yourself to one of these hobbies, you can't really be a dick.
Yeah.
Can't be a bad guy because you work so hard to get good at this, and it's such a kind of niche thing that if you start being a bad person, like, you just won't have any friends in it. And you wasted all that time doing it, you know? Like, I don't know. It keeps people accountable, I guess.
I love it. So let's, where do you hope all this takes you? Where are you wanting this to end up? Where do you see yourself in 10 or 15 years?
It's a great question. I live in the present a lot. It's hard to think like that. I don't know. I like being present.
Good.
That's a good thing this teaches as well. But, I mean, with Try Again, ever since I started really focusing on that, I've had a lot of, like, blessings from who knows what, God or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing good and I'm on the right path to, like, helping people without asking for anything in return type of thing. And if I feel like I'm in the right place right now with that, dream of mine with that would be to build, like, an art car and take all my friends and actually pay people to come to these events and travel around America and go into all the skate parks and do pop-ups with all these communities and bring bikes and give everything away and actually like support a bunch of people through this nonprofit would be really cool. I love marketing. So like the marketing, getting Find Your Friends to pop off would be great with Koshi and my other friend Devin. Been doing good so far, but seeing where that goes would be fun. I love marketing and branding and stuff as you do.
Yeah.
So that'd be rad. I guess, I don't know, the DJ thing, like, I love producing. It's almost like my next BMX. Like, I get there mentally in DJing. Like, I get into a flow state, and it's not dangerous. As I get older, it's harder to rip like I used to.
Yeah.
I'll still be riding, but, like, pushing the limits is, like, I know it's going to slow down at some point.
Yeah.
So, that where I had my first festival booking at Texas Eclipse, got rained out. They canceled it 5 hours before, but that was really exciting. I really love that aspect. So, hopefully I'm DJing, ripping around, spreading kendama love, spreading BMX love, skateboard love, and I don't know, meeting cool people and having them be happy.
Oh man, I have no doubt you are gonna be having a good time. I have no doubt about that.
Staying healthy, that is like a crucial thing. Like a lot of people have asked me like, oh, why are you so happy or whatever. Like I get super sad, like it happens, but I notice a lot of times in my life when I get into like sad ruts, and I'm not really beaming or serving my purpose, I end up like watching a lot of like TV or like disc golf or movies or whatever, and I end up eating bad. I end up like craving like cheeseburgers and like bad food, and then all of a sudden I snap out, and I'm not doing yoga, and all of a sudden I snap out of it, and I'm like, oh, I'm eating bad. I'm not taking my superfoods. Like I take every day now. I take like a superfood plant blend from Raw Superfoods. So like 40 or 50 ingredients that you don't get in your normal diet.
Yeah.
And then a plant protein powder. So that's like every morning in a smoothie. Then I take like vitamin C, turmeric, vitamin D3, vitamin B12, algae oil.
Raw superfoods.
Raw superfoods is the main one. And then there's plant-based. It's started by a pro BMXer and skater, the Matas.
Nice.
Sick. And then I do like plants basically, which is like a mushroom tincture blend. Not psychedelic, but just like great mushrooms for your system.
Unlike every other podcast in the world, this podcast is not sponsored by AG1.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, but that's awesome, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel that too. It's like easy to slip into those lower states of energy, and then you don't want to exercise, and then you don't want to eat right, and then your energy's super low, and then you're starting to go to bed at the wrong time, and then if you can get back on that right pattern where you get your sleep and your nutrition and you're drinking your water and you're getting your supplements and
I recently got off coffee and tea and drank mud water, which was crazy. Like cacao is amazing. I like go through phases of liking that or needing other things, but having that rather than caffeine, it's amazing. I tried like Magic Mind, which they're sold in plastic bottles, and I think that's really lame. But I drank it like a 2-week system of this, and I literally felt like I don't know, something happened to my brain. All of a sudden I'm working on the computer and I'm like doing a task I've been doing for 10 years, and I'd be like, there's got to be a more efficient way. And I would just like look around the street and click on things or try different shortcuts and like, whoop, and figure out some easy way to sort data or something that I'd never done before. Wow. And it's a lot of this stuff just comes from these crazy superfoods, and no one even knows about them. Like another thing, you almost have to just meet someone. Like my buddy Alex Kennedy, pro BMX dude in the UK, like him and the Joey Mata, our superfoods guy. Those dudes taught me everything about spring water, superfoods, you know, all this stuff, and you take them and it turns your brain on, makes you use more of your brain. It does something crazy, and not enough people know about them or use them.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. Like you go into a corner store or the grocery market, and it's like 85 or 90% of the stuff is kind of garbage.
Oh, absolutely, especially in America.
Yeah, it's just refined sugar in one form or another, and you're like, I don't know. This seems like we could maybe a little better offerings here.
Oh yeah, FDA's in America is so bad.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, trick for the grocery store is stay on the perimeter.
The perimeter.
I've heard that. I've heard that one before.
Yep. Yeah, and there's so much like stuff like don't eat seed oils. I'm on that, but it's like some people are like, oh, I only eat once a day, and I'm doing this intermittent fasting. Or some people are like, I eat twice, every 2 hours, and it's like, I don't know what to believe. Like what, But I think the thing is you have to test it out and try it for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, try different things, and I mean, I eat everything. It's not like I'm like, oh, like people would be like, oh, you drink beer, like. Why do you care about superfoods? I'm like, dude, if I'm doing bad things, I have to do like other good things to at least meet in the middle somewhere,
Balance moderation. 100%.
So like you can do whatever. You can eat cheeseburgers, like you can eat whatever you want, but as long you gotta have the thought of like, let's try and get as much good stuff as possible and do some research to figure out what is good.
If you're overindulging, the dopamine reward from it goes away.
Absolutely.
So then if you're like, I just did a 3-day kind of caffeine fast and came back and I just drank like half a cup and was like, that's good.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. And I was like, wow, this is a lot more enjoyable. So just kind of taking a step away from something for a few days a week or a couple weeks is definitely another way to like reset.
Help balance it out. Really feel like the minute things about what they do to you and your system. And that's the same with superfoods. Like I used to spend like $100 to $200 a week on superfoods. Like all these, like testing all these different blends and figuring out what they do when I need them. And I've kind of like boiled that down to just like a few essential ones that keep me healthy, not getting sick all the time. Like I travel all the time, I can't be sick. It's like energetic, have high energy, not get sick, and have like a good belly, good base of like solid nutrients to get through the day and heal, fight inflammation, think proper.
Here's a random softball question here. Was like, what was the concert or band or DJ that like caused you to fall in love with music? What was that moment where you were like, oh, I love music so much?
I was downloading when I was like 11. I was on Napster downloading music and like showing people music in school. And I would like throw parties in high school, and like I was one who was making playlists for the aux cord.
Nice.
So I had like a lot of stuff. But back then I was a big rap head, so I like Biggie Smalls, Big L, all the East Coast stuff. And then I found, which is why I'm with Koshi. So I found Houston rap. Yeah. So like UGK, Big Mo, Paul Wall, all this swanging and bagging, candy paint, wood wheel stuff. And I was like, they're rapping about like super good moralistic things, like keeping it 100. Like there's this one line, it's like never tell a friend you're gonna pick them up and leave them stranded. They're just like, they all have these lessons in their raps. It's not just like gangbanger shit, which I like too sometimes, but it was like good stuff and taught me a lot of things. And that's why I actually started DJing. Because I wanted to chop and screw everything.
Oh.
So I literally like wanted to hear all music slowed down and chopped, and I like did that for like a year before ever trying to mix any song. I only chopped and screwed music. And when I met Koshi, so I'd say Houston rap.
Okay.
But when I met Koshi, that's like we just ended up talking at the end of the night at this party, and I found she was from Houston, and we rode down about Houston rap, and I was like, I'd never met someone from Houston, and that's why I was like, all right, you're awesome. Initially. And then another one was Charles the First show in Minnesota. It's probably the best show I ever went to music-wise in a genre that I didn't really know at the time. Forgot who brought me even. I think it was the Sweets Kendama's boys. And I just remember being there, and it was right before COVID. It's like one of the last shows I went to before COVID. It was just like, dude, like this is amazing.
Wow.
R.I.P. Charles,
Yeah,
but I
rest in
was like,
peace.
dude, this is nuts. And then that got me into like, all right, I think I'm gonna make mixes and stuff. Like, I'm gonna like try and mix and like figure out. I didn't know what genres were of music. I like had to like learn all this stuff. I've never been musically trained at all. Like I got the circle of fifths as my home screen.
There you go.
I'm always trying to like learn and level up, and I'm trying to learn keys now for producing. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey trying, and I suck at it, but I love it. I love
That's
sucking
awesome.
at stuff. You know?
That's the lesson. That's the headline. I love sucking at stuff. Oh, man. Well, brother, it's been absolutely wonderful catching up with you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing this beautiful, wonderful nature day with me.
Dude, thank you so much.
I wish you and Koshi all the best.
Yeah, we got to spend more time together, man.
Yeah,
You guys got to come out to New Orleans, come hang out with us.
We will, absolutely.
You know, it's really special. It was really special connecting with you. Thank you for bringing me out to LIB.
Yes.
That was a life-changing trip for sure.
It was.
Yeah, I had a blast. And dude, yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Let's
All right. We'll
appreciate
catch up soon, brother.
Much
All right.
love.
Yay.